Are you exhausted? I don't mean tired from the daily grind. I mean a deep internal exhaustion, born from trying to control things that were never yours to control. We often suffer not because life is cruel, but because we have voluntarily surrendered our peace to the outside world. We are haunted by judgment, tormented by the past, and paralyzed by the future. But what if you realize that true power isn't about changing the world? It is about standing firm even when the world shakes beneath your feet. This video is not just empty motivation. We are going to explore 8 vital principles, a survival map for the soul that will teach you the art of distinguishing between what you must hold and what you must release. If you are seeking a way out of the chaos in your mind, take a deep breath, leave your burdens at the door, and join Stoic Quotes on this journey of inner tempering. Control what you can and release what you cannot. When I was younger, I sought to control everything: what others thought of me, what would happen tomorrow, the outcome of every endeavor, and even how others treated me. What was the result? I was exhausted, anxious, and perpetually stressed. Because no matter how hard I tried, life proceeded according to its own nature. People were free to misunderstand me. The sky could rain on the day I needed sun, and plans could be shattered by things I could not foresee. This maxim serves as a clear reminder. There exists an invisible yet profoundly important boundary in life. The boundary between what belongs to me and what does not. What belongs to me, my domain, my attitude, my choices, my efforts, the way I react to hardship, the values I choose to live by. What does not belong to me? The external, the weather, the past, the emotions and thoughts of others, how the world judges me, unforeseen events like illness, crisis, or loss. Stoicism does not teach indifference or resignation. On the contrary, control what you can means living with maximum proactivity within the sphere of your power. I can acquire new skills, work diligently, treat others with kindness, prepare thoroughly, build virtuous habits, but release what you cannot. Letting go of what is external is an act of wisdom. It is the direct confrontation with the truth that I am not, nor must I be the center of the universe. If you are struggling now, loss of employment, a breakup being misunderstood, a plan gone awry, I offer this counsel. Do not strive to control what has slipped from your grasp. Do not seek to change others who do not wish to change. Do not attempt to squeeze life until it conforms to your will. Direct your efforts toward improving yourself, not correcting the world. When you accomplish this, you have taken the first step on the path to becoming unshakable. 2. You are strongest when you stop needing control over everything. We often think, the more I control, the stronger I am. In reality, the opposite is true. The more obsessed you are with control, the weaker you become. Why? Because when you constantly require everything to be to your liking, just one deviation causes you to lose your composure. Just one person's non-cooperation causes you to feel wounded. Just one undesired outcome causes you to collapse. That is not strength. That is fragility. The strongest person is not the one who can manipulate all events, but the one who can say, if this happens as I desire, I will be grateful. If it does not happen, I will still be whole, and I will continue to live according to my virtues. When I learned to cease needing to control everything, I observed a strange phenomenon. I became calmer, I became less fearful, I became more adaptable, and I gained greater influence over my surroundings. This is because your actions no longer originate from a fear of losing control, but from an internal steadfastness. Others can perceive this. They see composure in you. They trust you more. And they no longer perceive you as someone who panics or seeks to dominate everything. If you are currently in a period of chaos, a turbulent job, a family crisis, financial instability, ask yourself, what would happen if I accepted that I cannot control everything, but committed to handling each single matter with the greatest possible tranquility? You will realize your strength does not lie in clutching tightly, but in the courage to release. 3. Do not attach your peace to outcomes you cannot control. This touches upon a very common error. We often attach our happiness, our inner peace, and our self-worth to outcomes. If I get the promotion, I am happy. If my lover returns, I am at peace. If I earn enough money, I feel valuable. If people praise me, I feel worthy. The problem is the outcome is always subject to countless factors beyond our reach. You can put in the effort, but the market changes, the boss reverses a decision, the other person's feelings shift, or unexpected events occur. If your peace is anchored to these variables, your peace will oscillate like an emotional roller coaster, exhausting, dizzying, and utterly insecure. Stoicism suggests a different way of living. Attach your peace to virtuous action, not the final result. I cannot guarantee that I will always succeed, that I will always be loved, that I will always be acknowledged. But I can guarantee that I have done my best, that I have lived true to my values, that I have not betrayed my conscience. A bad day may take many things from you, but if it fails to take your self-respect and inner peace, then you have not yet lost. If you are facing an uncertain outcome, an exam, an interview, a business venture, a relationship, I encourage you to say to yourself, I will focus on performing my part excellently. Whatever the result, I will use it as a lesson, not as a verdict upon myself. In doing so, your peace ceases to be a hostage of circumstance. 4. Let go of what you cannot change, and you will gain strength. At first glance, this might seem similar to the first maxim, but it carries a different emphasis. Releasing is not a loss. Releasing is an acquisition of strength. We often think, if I don't cling on, I lose. If I accept this, I am weak. But in reality, countless people are being drained of energy because they refuse to accept reality. A relationship that has ended a career phase, that has closed an opportunity that has passed, or a person who no longer belongs to them. They live in a state of regret, anger, denial, clinging to unrealistic hope. Stoicism does not command you to stop feeling pain. Stoicism simply states, there are realities you cannot change. Every moment you fight against them fruitlessly, you are wearing yourself down. When you accept a painful truth, you do not lose dignity. You simply cease fighting on an unwinnable front, reserving your strength to fight where opportunity still exists. True strength comes from daring to look directly at what is lost, daring to admit what will not return, daring to say, I let go of this, so my hands are free to grasp something new. If you are chaining yourself to an unalterable past, an old mistake, a person who has left a missed opportunity, ask, can this still be changed, or am I merely clutching at an illusion? If the answer is no, then letting go is not failure. It is a return to the part of your life that is still waiting to be lived. 5. Do not suffer twice, once in reality, once in your mind. This is one of my favorite maxims, for it precisely addresses a deeply human habit. Life has pained us once, yet we use our imagination to pain ourselves many times more, imagining the rejection before the interview, prolonged anxiety, imagining the loss before the breakup, jealousy and insecurity, imagining the humiliation before the failure, inhibition from trying, reliving a past event repeatedly every night, suffering anew. Stoicism does not deny the real pain of life. Illness is pain, losing a loved one is pain, failure is pain, betrayal is pain. But in addition to this tangible distress, we create a secondary layer of imagined suffering. If only I should have. Why did they? What if it happens again? We dwell in the past and the future, forgetting that the majority of what transpires in our minds is merely a self-produced movie. This maxim reminds me every time my mind begins to run wild. Am I suffering because of what is truly happening, or because of the story I am telling myself about it? If you are laid off, that is a real pain. But if you begin to think, I am useless, I will never succeed, I am a burden, this is the second layer of suffering constructed by yourself. If you are in a dark phase, try a simple exercise. Clearly distinguish the event from the story you tell about the event. The event is often concise. I lost my job. The story is often long and emotional. Losing my job means I'm a failure. I'm inferior. My future is over. Stoicism instructs us, endure the necessary pain, the pain of reality. Do not bestow upon yourself the superfluous pain, the pain of pessimistic imagination, living between control and release. The 5 maxims in this section, when juxtaposed, delineate a clear path. 1. Identify your sphere control. What you can release, what you cannot. 2. Lessen the obsession with control to become more steadfast. 3. Redefine peace. Anchor it to right action, not results. 4. Courageously accept the unchangeable to liberate vital energy. 5. Stop self-torture through negative imagination. Only suffer the truth, not the phantom. From a personal perspective, I don't see these as mere inspirational quotes for a wall. To me, they are life skills, nearly spiritual survival skills. Because no matter who you are, life will bring things you cannot control, outcomes you did not desire, unavoidable pains, people who do not behave as you hoped. You cannot choose a life of absolute tranquility, but you can choose how you walk amidst those uncertainties. If you are currently lost and directionless, submerged in anxiety, hurting from loss, exhausted from trying to control everything, I want you to try condensing all these complex philosophies into 4 short statements as a daily reminder to yourself. 1. I will do my part well. 2. I accept that some things are not mine to command. 3. I will not let my peace be held captive by outcomes. 4. I will not pain myself further with pessimistic stories in my mind. If you practice only this cluster of philosophies with true rigor, your life will begin to shift, not because the world has become less harsh, but because you are more stable, standing within that world. If you look closely, the entire philosophy of control and release is actually teaching us one of the most crucial psychological skills in life: delineating the boundary between I can and I want. I want is limitless. I can is always limited. The great suffering of man is born from this. We use what we want to encroach upon and then force ourselves to achieve what is possible. When life fails to obey, we assume we have failed, when the truth is merely that we are demanding that we play the role of God. The maxims in this section do not command us to live a smaller life. They teach us to live honestly with the structure of reality. Some things lie within our reach. Some things will always belong to the domain of uncertainty of life. When we accept this, we cease to be deluded about our power. We cease to blame ourselves for things beyond our control. The greatest educational value of this philosophy cluster is it teaches the young responsibility without self-torment, proactive action without illusion, and release without becoming indifferent. And perhaps the deepest gift of control and release is this: when we stop struggling with the things that do not belong to us, we have enough energy to fully embrace the part of life that is truly ours. Your emotions should serve you, not rule you. Human beings are born without being taught how to use emotions. We are only taught how to have emotions. We know how to be angry when hurt, be sad when suffering loss, be fearful when insecure, be jealous when fearing loss, be excited when praised, feel deflated when rejected. But I rarely see anyone taught this. Emotion is a tool, not a master. When emotion rules you, your life becomes like a ship. It floats upon praise, sinks upon criticism, explodes at injustice, and collapses under pressure. You are not living, you are being lived. Stoicism does not demand that you be without emotion. That would be inhuman. Stoicism demands that you feel the emotion, but do not let it seize your neck. I have learned that emotion is a signal, not a command. Anger to signals that my boundary has been crossed. Sadness to signals that I have lost something meaningful. Fear to signals that I am standing before a risk. But a signal is not a decision. And the mature person is one who hears the emotion, but decides according to their values. If you are allowing your anger to dictate your words, your fear to determine your actions, and your hurt to define your very character, then I tell you quite frankly, you are not weak because you have emotions. You are weak because you have not learned to command them. Emotion is not the enemy, but it must not be the king, too. Your life improves when your reactions improve. There is one insight that completely changed my view of life. Life did not treat me differently. I merely reacted differently, and thus I lived differently. We often ask ourselves, why is life so unfair? Why does all the bad luck happen to me? Why am I more miserable than others? But Stoicism inverts the question, not what happens to me, but how do I respond to it? Two people are criticized simultaneously. One flares up due to loss of prestige, $2 lifestyles, The other remains calm to preserve dignity. $2 life continues. Two people fail at the same time. One retreats. $2 life remains stagnant. The other learns. $2 life changes direction. Two people are hurt. One lives bitterly. The other lives profoundly. The difference lies not in the event, but in the reaction. I realized the person who is calmer is not the one who feels less pain, but the one who chooses the least destructive way to hurt. If you are going through a tumultuous period, I cannot promise things will immediately improve. But I can tell you this truth. When you improve your reaction, you can prevent a bad circumstance from destroying your life. You cannot control the storm, but you can control the position of the rudder. 3. The less you react, the more you control. At first, this seems paradoxical. Less reaction means more control. But when you observe your life closely, you will see. Every time you react impulsively, you lose your initiative. Every time you lash out, you allow others to control your internal state with just a single word. When someone insults you and you become angry, $2. They control your mood. When someone looks down on you and you become sad, $2. They lead you by their words. The easier you are to provoke, the easier you are to manipulate. Stoicism calls this handing over your internal power to another. I learned a crucial truth. The person who can easily provoke your anger holds the steering wheel of your life. Not reacting does not mean you lack conviction. It does not mean you are weak-willed. It is the highest expression of inner strength. I do not need to explain every misunderstanding. I do not need to retaliate against every attack. I do not need to correct every distorted view others hold of me. Why? Because my life does not require universal approval to proceed. Reacting less does not make you weak. It makes you more valuable. 4. Silence is sometimes the strongest response. Society teaches us you must answer quickly. You must demand justice immediately. You must refute injustice at once. But life teaches me differently. Not every battle is won with words. Not every book is worth reading to the end. There are people who seek not truth but victory, seek not understanding but argument, seek not connection but superiority. Talking to them is like pouring water into an inverted cup. The more you pour, the more spills out. Silence in Stoicism is not fear. It is the refusal to degrade yourself by engaging in toxic debates. There are times when your words are superfluous. Your silence becomes the most powerful message. Not because you are right, but because you do not need to prove you are right. If you are a person who is constantly drawn into arguments, hurt by others' words, torn by public opinion, I want you to remember, not every place is your stage. Not every ear is worthy of hearing the truth from you. Silence is not evasion. Often it is self-respect. 5. If you are easily offended, you are easily controlled. This is a hard pill to swallow, as it challenges the ego. No one likes to hear, perhaps you are too easily wounded. But Stoicism does not coddle. Stoicism teaches us to mature. When you are easily offended, someone only needs to utter a word that hits your weak spot, and you lose your composure, and you act unwisely, and you forfeit your dignity. You think you are defending yourself. In reality, you are exposing your throat. The easily offended person often depends on external validation, craves praise, fears criticism, lives in fear of judgment. I used to be this way, until I realized no one can insult me unless I grant them the power to do so. If someone's words are untrue, $2, they possess no power. If they are true, $2, they are information, not a weapon. An insult only succeeds when it touches an unhealed insecurity within you, and this is crucial. Heating your temper does not make you strong. Thickening your inner self makes you free. Internal freedom. Refusing to be held hostage by emotion. The 5 maxims in this section, when synthesized, become a declaration of living. I will not let emotion drive my life. I will not allow impulsive reactions to ruin my future. I will not surrender my internal control to others. I will not descend into meaningless quarrels. I will not let offense define who I am. I say to you, the one reading these lines, when you master your reaction, you have stepped out of the prison built by emotion. No one can bind you with iron chains. People bind themselves with hatred, anger, egotism, the desperate need for approval, and the key to unlocking the shackles, not defeating others, but refusing to let them master your mind. In a world that celebrates being true to your feelings, people forget to teach a crucial counterpart. Being true does not mean reacting exactly as you feel. The emotion is real, but the emotion is not the absolute truth. The great value of this philosophy cluster lies here. It pulls us away from 2 dangerous extremes. 1, suppressing emotion until explosion. 2, letting emotion run wild, destroying relationships, careers, and self-respect. When we learn to say, I am angry, but I will not let my anger dictate my words. I am hurt, but I will not make myself a source of further hurt. That is not pretense. That is emotional maturity. This set of maxims also holds a silent power of encouragement. It tells you that you are not bad just because you are impulsive. You are not flawed just because you have acted foolishly. You simply have not been taught how to use the power of emotion correctly. When you begin to master your reaction, you not only protect your present, you change the trajectory of your future. A word restrained today can save a relationship, an opportunity, and a clean self-image. This is why mastery of emotion is not just a psychological lesson, but a form of ethical living ethics toward oneself and toward others. A calm mind is a weapon no chaos can defeat. Our external world is rarely settled. Economic volatility, fissures in relationships, social pressures, unexpected events. Yet I realize not everyone who lives through a tempest suffers equally. The person who walks calmly through the storm is fundamentally different from the one who is disordered within their own mind. A chaotic mind will exaggerate the problems, overinterpret negatively, anticipate disaster to the point of self-destruction. A tranquil mind, conversely, will clearly discern each situation, make decisions slowly and surely, refuse to let fear assume command. Stoics consider tranquility to be the highest form of strength, because the panicking person may be physically stronger than you, but the composed person triumphs over you through wisdom. When you maintain composure, you identify solutions. You avoid catastrophic errors. You do not commit actions you will regret. In my life, I have observed many people fail not due to a lack of competence, but due to the lack of a head clear enough at the moment of decision. If you are living through days of chaos, lost and adrift, the future blurred your mind, constantly spinning. I offer this brief counsel. You do not need to know everything. You only need to keep your mind from falling into disorder. A calm mind is the sediment of 1,000 right decisions. 2. Difficulties are not barriers. They are training grounds. The way a person views hardship determines whether they mature or are crushed. The majority see adversity as a punishment, an injustice, a curse. The Stoic sees hardship as the gymnasium of character. No pressure, no muscle develops. No challenge, no inner fortitude is born. Hardship teaches us patience, humility, endurance, and sobriety. I once went through a phase of no money, direction, and no one's belief. At that time, I hated the phrase, "Adversity builds character." It sounded like a cliche until I realized, had it not been for those years I spent at rock bottom, I would not have the depth to understand anyone's pain. The Stoic does not say adversity is good. The Stoic says adversity is useful if you use it as the blacksmith uses fire to temper steel. The fire is not gentle, but the fire is precisely what sharpens the steel. 3. Train your mind to be stronger than your circumstances. Circumstance is something that easily crushes people: poverty, lack of opportunity, fractured family, a harsh society. But the Stoic does not regard the human being as a perpetual victim. Circumstance may obstruct your path, deflect your direction, slow your progress, but it has no authority to define you. When you temper your mind, you learn to think structurally, you learn to endure consciously, you learn to refuse despair. No one is born steadfast. Resolve is forged daily by rising after failure, by not rejecting responsibility, by choosing to continue when exhausted. I used to think, when things get better, I will become stronger. But the truth is, when I became stronger, things began to get better. If you are living in dark circumstances, remember, circumstance does not change you. You change how you stand within the circumstance. 4. Hard times reveal who you really are. When life is smooth, everyone is kind, everyone is generous, everyone speaks beautiful words. But when crisis strikes, selfishness surfaces, character is revealed. The true nature is exposed. This is not for judgment, but for self-reflection. Difficulty is like a mirror reflecting whether you are cowardly, whether you evade, whether you blame, or whether you dare to stand straight. I do not fear failure as much as I fear living my entire life without understanding who I am. It is precisely when you lose power, lose money, lose status, that you discover what truly constitutes your identity. If you are in a dark phase, observe. When treated unjustly, who do I become? When exhausted, do I quit or seek a way? When solitary, do I collapse or grow? The answer is not for self-torment, but for constructing a better self. 5. Endurance builds character more than comfort ever could. We live in an age that exalts convenience, avoids difficulty, fears pain, hates inconvenience. But a life solely tied to comfort creates a fragile mind, a weak person, and low resilience. Stoicism teaches me that endurance is not meaningless asceticism. Endurance is the building of a backbone for the soul. A person who has never endured hunger. $2 does not know how to value sufficiency. A person who has never been solitary. $2 does not grasp the value of connection. A person who has never struggled. $2 does not cherish peace. The comparison is fair. Comfort breeds complacency. Endurance breeds depth. I do not wish for you to enjoy pain, but I hope that you do not flee from it when it arrives, because when you can endure the difficult, you will live more easily. The tempered mind to the undestroyed life. These 5 maxims declare to me composure is strength. Adversity is a school. The mind is mightier than circumstance. Hardship is the naked truth about oneself. Endurance creates depth. I want you, the reader, to hold on to one thing. Your life is not measured by the number of easy days, but by the number of times you stood tall amidst the days you could barely breathe. If today you are tired, bored, empty, lost, then I tell you with all the experience I possess, you are not weak. You are in the tempering phase. You are not being broken. You are being remade. This cluster of philosophies touches upon a truth few wish to hear. No one else can build your steadfast mind for you. We can be helped with money, opportunity, and connections, but no one can suffer the pain for us. No one can rise up instead of us. No one can think for us indefinitely. That is why adversity becomes a mandatory schooling. You may not enroll, but life will still put you in the class. The profound value of these maxims lies in this: they restore dignity to those who are struggling. Instead of seeing oneself as a victim, one begins to see, every time one chooses to confront rather than flee, every time one chooses to rise up rather than blame, is a moment when one's mind gains another layer of steel. This is also a humane reminder. When we look at others in a dark phase, be careful, we might be looking at the forge where their resolve is being cast, not the ruined life of a failure. This philosophy cluster does not encourage senseless suffering. It merely states, if you must pass through hardship, pass through it to emerge as a deeper version of yourself, not a shattered soul. Master yourself, and the world becomes easier to face. We often think, if I were stronger, if I had more money, if I had better connections, then life would be easier. But the Stoic offers a cold, clear maxim: master yourself first. Then everything else naturally becomes less difficult. The person who does not master their own will is easily angered, easily, panicked, easily swayed, and easily quit. I once lived as if I were being led astray by my own self, waking up and checking the phone, $2 delaying work, being angry with someone, gear speaking hurtful words, feeling tired, giving up, being fearful, avoiding action. No one forced me to live this way. I abandoned myself. When I began practicing discipline, it was not to become a saint, but to avoid ruining my life. I learned to wake early, do the hard thing first, say no to cheap temptations, and keep promises to myself. And strangely, life did not become easier, but I became less weak. I understood the problem was not a hostile world, but my own lack of restraint. 2. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. This is a perfect comparison. Discipline is a struggle, initially bitter, initially tiring, initially. Regret is long-lasting pain, haunting, destructive to self-respect. People despise the feeling of waking early, refusing short-term pleasure for long-term good, or studying while others play. But they do not despise the regret, the remorse, the bitterness, until it strikes them directly. I have seen too many people at 30 lamenting not tempering themselves at 20, at 40 regretting living carelessly at 30, at 50 fearful for not having prepared in their youth. Not a single person ever says, "I wish I had been less disciplined in the past." They only say, "I wish I had been more rigorous with myself." Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons. 3. Live with purpose or be dragged by habit. Human beings do not live by grand decisions, but by daily, repeated habits and small, seemingly harmless choices. You do not fail suddenly. You slide downhill day by day without notice. One more procrastination, one more meaningless evening, one more day without effort. Until you wake up and ask, "Where did my life go?" Living with purpose means knowing clearly who you do not want to become and moving away from that person every single day. Not everyone requires a grand vision, but everyone requires reason not to live arbitrarily. If you do not set the direction for your life, then habit, social media consuming entertainment will do it for you. I used to live as one who thought, just for today, wait until tomorrow, there's no rush. Then the years passed, and only I remained standing still. You do not need to live extraordinarily, but do not live unconsciously. 4. You become unstoppable when you stop begging for approval. Nothing erodes a person faster than living for the gaze of others. The fear of criticism, the craving for praise, the dependence on what others think, it causes you to not dare to live authentically, not dare to walk an unusual path, not dare to be different. And you gradually become a cheap imitation of others. I used to appease friends, chase family expectations, and fear social scrutiny. Until one day I realized, no one will live my life for me, but everyone is ready to judge it. Approval is seasoning, not the main course. If you make it your reason for existence, you will be perpetually insecure, easily wounded, and never enough. When you cease begging for approval, you do not become arrogant, you become free. You live according to your own values, not according to the eyes of others. Discipline does not kill you. To self-indulgence does. These 4 maxims, when combined, form a code of conduct. Master yourself to life becomes less fearful. Discipline today to less regret tomorrow. Live with purpose to not dragged by habit. Stop begging for approval to not chained by society. I am not asking you to become a person as hard as stone. I only want you to not be weak toward yourself. If you are tired, doubting yourself, or living aimlessly, I offer you a hard truth. No one is coming to save you, but you can save yourself. Not through cheap motivation, but through small discipline every day. In an era that honors living your best chill life, maxims about discipline can sound harsh, but if you look closely, they are not intended to bind a person, but to liberate you from your own self-indulgence. Without discipline, we think we are free to do what we like. But in reality, we are addicted to the feeling of ease, the short-term pleasure, the sense of procrastination. With discipline, we may not always be happy, but we begin to trust ourselves more. And self-trust is one of the greatest spiritual assets that discipline returns to us. This cluster of philosophies holds immense educational value for young people. It replaces the question, how can I make others believe in me, with the question, am I still keeping my promises to myself? And it also frees us from the pressure of living to be praised. When you cease begging for approval, you do not become indifferent. You become responsible for your life at a higher level, doing the right thing, even when no one applauds. Discipline at its deepest level is not about a schedule. It is a form of self-respect for your soul. I consider myself important enough not to be dragged down by trivial habits. The more you desire less, the richer you become. At first, this statement seems counterintuitive to life. The world teaches us to want more, possess more, achieve more. The Stoic conversely asks, how much is enough? And the uncomfortable answer is, enough is when you no longer allow desire to dominate you. I once thought more money to, I will have peace, a beautiful home to, I will be happy, recognition to, I will feel valued. Then I achieved a few things, and I wanted something else. Desire is like a bottomless bowl. The more you pour, the emptier it feels. When you desire less, you do not become poor, you become less dependent. Wealth here is not measured in assets, but in wealth of self-mastery, wealth of tranquility, wealth of internal freedom. 2. You don't need more, you need less attachment. Many people suffer not from lack, but from clinging to a past person, clinging to regret, clinging to a social image, clinging to fame, clinging to the past, clinging tightly and suffering. I realize we do not suffer because of loss, but because we refuse to let go. You can lose money without collapsing. But if you equate yourself with money, then when money is gone, you lose yourself. If you cling to a relationship, do you fear abandonment? Cling to a social role, do you fear losing face? Cling to achievements, do you fear failure? Less attachment does not mean coldness. It means to love, but not to be dependent. To possess, but not to be identified. To enjoy, but not to be consumed. 3. The ego wants comfort. The soul wants freedom. The ego constantly whispers, stay put. It's easier. Don't be different. It's dangerous. Don't feel pain. Don't suffer. Just be safe. But the soul is different. It wants to grow. It wants to venture. It wants to be challenged. It wants to live authentically. The ego loves the comfort zone. The soul loves truthfulness. The ego likes to be praised. The soul likes to be oneself. I learn to distinguish. When I choose simplicity, I am nurturing the soul. When I choose to indulge the ego, I am imprisoning myself. If you feel stifled, constrained within your own life, try asking, am I feeding my ego or nurturing my soul? 4. Comfort is the enemy of growth. No one grows when things are always smooth. One always avoids strain. One fears hardship. Comfort is addictive. It makes you lazy to try, lazy to change, lazy to endure difficulty. But the paradox is, the more you seek comfort, the more insecure your life becomes, because you will become increasingly weak against impact. I do not advocate for asceticism. I merely state, do not make comfort your sole aim in life. If you live only to be pleasant, light, easy, then when hardship arrives, you will collapse. Want less, you will feel light. Cling less, you will feel free. Seek less convenience, you will grow. The 4 maxims in this section teach me, less desire, you will be more freedom. Less clinging, you will be less pain. Nurture the soul, you will do not feed the ego. Avoid excessive comfort. You will avoid stagnation. I offer you this. Happiness does not come from having much, but from needing little. If you are feeling life is heavy, tired of the old way of living, your heart is too cramped, try reducing. Not reducing love, but reducing dependence. This philosophy cluster is not against wealth or success. It simply asks a question that is difficult to answer. How much do you need to avoid losing yourself? We live in a culture that continuously stimulates desire. Buy more, achieve more, prove more. But few ask, if my heart never knows sufficiency, how much more will ever be enough? Desiring less is not a compromise with mediocrity, but a reselection of the standard for enough. Enough is not when we stop growing, but when we no longer allow material possessions, fame, or convenience to seize our necks. The deep value of the maxims in this section is this: they give us a compass so we do not get lost in the collective storm of desire. We can still strive, we can still possess, but we do not sell our internal freedom in exchange for those things. And minimalism in Stoicism is not about abandoning everything, but about reducing what makes us drift further from ourselves. Less dependence on the gaze of others, less clinging to social roles, less superstitious belief in comfort as the ultimate goal. Then we discover something strange. Living less makes us feel more sufficient, because for the first time we no longer have to carry an exhausted ego everywhere to be validated. True power is staying steady in a shaking world. We live in a world of information, noise, value, chaos, constant volatility, where success and failure reverse at a dizzying pace. Today you may be at the peak. Tomorrow you may fall straight to the bottom. Today you are lauded. Tomorrow you are forgotten. Today you have everything. Tomorrow you only have yourself. In such a world, the Stoic does not seek external power. The Stoic does not ask, "Am I stronger than others?" The Stoic asks, "Can I stand firm when the world tilts?" True strength does not lie in the ability to suppress, but in the ability not to collapse. When criticized, do you shatter? When you lose everything, do you retain your dignity? When betrayed, do you turn bitter? Inner fortitude is not never falling, never hurting, never crying. Inner fortitude is to fall without breaking to hurt, without turning toxic, to cry without becoming weak. I have seen the wealthy who are dependent, the famous who are empty, the powerful who are insecure. And I understand power is not the control over others. Power is not allowing life to control oneself. If you are feeling weak because of criticism, because of abandonment, because life is pressing upon you, I say to you, you are not damaged. You are being tested for durability. Steel does not know its own hardness until it is struck by the hammer. 2. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. We often view life through two lenses, profit and loss. But the Stoic adds a third metric, peace. There are certain things, fame, relationships, money, status, that appear profitable but inwardly breed disorder. When you lose sleep over it, are tormented by it, are fearful because of it, or sacrifice your values for it. The question is no longer, is it worth the money, but is it worth the cost of self? Many people trade pressure for money, trade character for opportunity, trade freedom for security, and trade their soul for fame. I am not telling you to be poor nor to abandon everything. I only ask, what percentage of yourself do you retain each day? Some people, the more successful they become, the emptier they feel. The higher they climb, the less authentically they smile. Peace is not a dull life. Peace is not betraying yourself. You may be tired, but you are not tormented. You may be anxious, but you are not self-destructing. When you face a choice, listen to your heart. Does this offer me a future? Or is it slowly draining my soul? 3. Choose inner victory over outer applause. Applause is sweet, but it quickly fades. Today they applaud. Tomorrow they turn their backs. Today you are a hero. Tomorrow you are forgotten. If you live by applause, then every day you will ask, do they still like me? Do they still care about me? Am I still relevant? And when the applause ceases, you feel empty, you panic, you lose direction. Inner victory means you sleep soundly. Even when no one praises you, you stand firm. Even when no one supports you, you live rightly, even when no one applauds. I used to write for praise, speak to be liked, and live for the gaze of others. Then I was depleted, until I understood no one is responsible for applauding my life. I have only one person. I must not betray myself. You may have less recognition, fewer people who know your name, less time in the spotlight. But if you live rightly, do not lie, and do not sell yourself, then you are richer than many famous people who cannot sleep soundly, living independent of external circumstance. 2. Is freedom achieved? Not trembling before life, not selling yourself for security, not living for applause. If you are chasing others, comparing yourself to society, selling your time and soul just to be called successful, I tell you, the world will not remember how kind you were, but you will live your entire life with yourself. Therefore, live so that when you are alone in the night, you do not have to hide from your own gaze. This philosophy cluster is a powerful axis shift in the definition of success. Instead of asking, "How high do I stand?" the Stoic asks, "When all winds shift direction, can I still stand straight?" This is a quiet revolution in thought. It draws the center of our life from the outside to the inside. When all social standards point outwards, income, fame, status, these maxims remind us a life can look very impressive on social media, yet be internally ruined. The greatest value of this philosophy cluster is it dares to place peace on the same level as money and achievement, or even higher. It compels us to answer, does what I am pursuing give me more freedom, or is it secretly draining my soul? From an educational standpoint, this is an antidote. It counters the trap of success at any cost, because the cost often hidden is loss of sleep, loss of self, loss of self-respect. When we choose inner victory over outer applause, we do not necessarily become great in the eyes of the world, but we become someone who can live with ourselves, and that is a form of glory. Do not fear pain. Fear wasting your life running from it. Many people do not perish from the pain itself. They perish from the flight. They run from sorrow, memory, failure, hurt. They use entertainment stimulants, overwork, toxic relationships to forget. But pain does not forget you. Pain does not disappear when you turn your back. It waits for you. The Stoic does not teach you to be tough so you feel no pain. The Stoic teaches you dare to confront it so that the pain holds meaning. The fear of pain causes people to not love fully, not dare to risk, not live authentically. But you cannot escape. No love to pain from loneliness, no courage to live to pain from regret, no courage to move to pain from stagnation. This maxim states, pain is mandatory. Running is optional. I once thought avoiding pain would be easier. But the truth is, pain confronted to gradually lightens. Pain avoided to grows heavier. If you are in pain today, remember you have not lost. You are living authentically. 2. What stands in your way becomes your way. We often ask, why is my life full of obstacles? Why do I not have it as easy as others? The Stoic answers coldly yet profoundly, because that is precisely the path you must traverse. No one encounters adversity by chance, bears pain randomly, or wanders into suffering. Each person has a lesson wrapped within their challenge. Pain is not meaningless. It carries a message. The overconfident to learn humility, the clinging to learn release, the weak to learn to stand, the fearful to learn courage. The thought is not, if this had not happened, my life would be good. But precisely because of this event, I am compelled to become greater than my former self. The obstacle is a rough teacher, but an honest one. It does not flatter, but it illuminates. 3. Do not explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Pain does not only arise from events. Pain comes from people being twisted, being slandered, being unjustly accused, being misunderstood. And the most painful thing is you are not being heard. Often you try to explain, clarify, justify. But there are people who do not need the truth. They need you to be the villain in their narrative. Explaining to them is like talking to a wall. The Stoic says, do not drain your own blood to write a letter to someone who refuses to read it. Do not beg for understanding, plead for justice, or live by the gaze of others. You do not need to give a reason for your own existence. If they do not wish to understand, that is their choice. You do not live to be approved by them. You live to avoid despising yourself. Pain does not kill you. To running from pain does. These 3 maxims forge a single truth. Do not fear pain, fear running. Do not resent the obstacle. It is the path. Do not beg those who refuse to understand. If today you are wishing to give up, tired of enduring, hurting from misunderstanding, I say to you, you are not lost. You are walking a difficult road. And the difficult road rarely leads to a trivial life. Of all the sections, this one touches most closely upon the dark zone that many seek to avoid suffering. But it is precisely in this dark zone that the Stoic proves most humane. The maxims here do not romanticize pain, nor do they glibly frame it as a cosmic gift. They state a simple truth: you cannot avoid all pain, but you can choose how you suffer. You can suffer in panic, running, and paralysis, or suffer with clarity, slowly, without deceiving yourself. The great educational value of this section is it legitimizes pain. It gives us the right to be sad, to fall down, to be tired, but it does not encourage us to build a permanent home there. And one very important thing, when it tells us, do not waste your life explaining to those committed to misunderstanding you, it is protecting a very subtle form of dignity. The dignity of not begging for acknowledgement. We cannot control what they think, but we can control not turning ourselves into beggars, knocking on every heart's door, asking, please understand me. To those who are at rock bottom, this section sends a silent but powerful message. You are not lost. You are merely at a turn in the road that the majority do not have the courage to see through to the end. Stoicism does not make you happy. Stoicism makes you steadfast. This is the most important lesson I have learned. Stoicism does not promise your life will be easy, people will be kind, work will be smooth, love will be complete. Stoicism promises the opposite. Life may be harsh, but you can remain unbroken. The person with a Stoic spirit does not seek a life without pain. They seek an inner self that does not perish with the pain. 2. Stoicism taught me a strange form of freedom. Freedom in adversity. It is not freedom like a bird flying or a fish swimming. It is this: though imprisoned by circumstance, the mind remains unconfined. You may not choose the family you are born into, the society you live in, the losses you bear, but you can choose who you become within those circumstances. Stoic freedom does not lie in changing the world, but in not allowing the world to bend your soul. 3. Stoicism does not make you emotionless. Stoicism makes you emotionally mature. I cry. I am sad. I hurt. But I do not harm myself because of it, harm others because of it, or allow it to control me. Stoicism causes me to observe emotion, not identify with emotion. I am sad is different from I am the sadness. When you are not the emotion, you are not consumed by it. 4. Stoicism taught me how to avoid self-betrayal. It is about not betraying your values, your conscience, your own truth. Even when poor, failing, or lonely, I do not need to sell myself, pretend, or live falsely to be accepted. Stoicism says it is better to live authentically alone than to be lauded as a false person. 5. Stoicism does not preach. It sharpens you like a blade. Every pain is a stroke of the whetstone. Every adversity is a moment of tempering in the fire. Until one day, you no longer break easily, not because you are calloused, but because you have acquired a backbone. 6. If you remember nothing else, remember this: I will let you depart, not with a doctrine, but with a few lines I hope you hold in your heart. You are under no obligation to make anyone understand you. You are not responsible for pleasing the entire world. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to strain to be valuable. Just do not be cowardly toward yourself. Do not live arbitrarily. Do not sell your soul for a measure of security. 7. And if today you are extremely tired, I understand. Not the tiredness of labor, but tired from trying to live up to expectations, tired from enduring, tired from being misunderstood, tired from not knowing where you are going. If you are there, I do not say everything will be fine. I say even though things are not fine, you can still stand straight amidst the storm. You do not need to be better than others. You only need to stop abandoning yourself. Stoicism does not turn you into a superhero. It turns you into a human being who does not drown in life. A person who knows how to endure, release, lift their head, be silent, and truly live. If you have read this far, I believe you are not an ordinary person. Ordinary people do not feel pain this deeply. Ordinary people do not seek meaning this intensely. Ordinary people do not confront themselves as you are doing. Just keep going, not quickly, not boastfully. Just do not abandon your soul along the way. This final section is more like a letter than a doctrine. Here, Stoicism appears not as a cold philosophical system, but as a tough, yet deeply compassionate friend. The deepest value of this conclusion is it returns Stoicism to its rightful place, not a religion, not a superhuman secret, but an art of living that does not betray one's soul. The modern world is adept at teaching us how to win, winning in career, winning in competition, winning in debate. But Stoicism quietly teaches us a different kind of victory, victory over our own cowardice, self-indulgence, and self-contempt. As you read to the very last lines, there is a truth you must acknowledge. You are no longer a person who just wants to get through the day. People who just want to get through the day do not seek out these kinds of philosophies. They also lack the courage to look directly into their inner weariness as you just have. And perhaps the most beautiful meaning the entire Stoic spirit provides is, you may be extremely tired, but you are not meaningless. You may be collapsing, but that is the posture of a person being tempered, not of one who has given up. If this entire essay must be summarized in one sentence, it might be, life does not promise to become lighter, but you can become the person who is no longer easily broken. And your sole mission amidst all those storms is simply do not abandon your soul. Thank you for walking this path with Stoic Quotes until the very end. Remember, philosophy is not about escaping pain. It is about forging a mind that cannot be broken by it. What you have learned today will remain just words unless you choose to apply them when the storms of life arrive. You don't need to be superhuman. You just need to be a human who refuses to give up on their own soul. If this video brought you a moment of peace or a new perspective, please leave a like to help this message reach others who are lost. And most importantly, if you are ready to continue this journey of tempering your mind, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. Don't let this be just another video you watched. Let it be the beginning of a stronger version of yourself. Comment "I am unshakable" below if you are ready. I am Sharma, and this is Stoic Quotes. See you in the next lesson.